What's up, guys? This is going to be simulcast on Mountaineer Paul Talks Football and on the Voice of College Football. We'll be talking about this statement that was released here. Let's see. Wait and see some people jump in here. What's up, guys? We'll talk about this Neal Brown. Neal Brown is back. It's what everybody wished for. We got the statement. We're going to pull it up once a few more people jump in here. Talking to Coos. Hold on. See if Coos will come on real quick. Yep. So 304 Barbecue said should have hired Paul Christ. I agree. Anything better than the situation we have at hand. And like I told you guys, I've been hearing some rumors. Apparently, a few of our early enrollees have notified people that they aren't going to be coming tomorrow. Not sure who it is yet. We haven't been disclosed any names. I was just told just that thing specifically. Not sure who it's going to be yet. And so this statement that was released is kind of a countermeasure to that, hoping some of these kids see it and realize that Neal Brown has been named the head coach or is going to remain the head coach at West Virginia University. So we've got a few people in here. We'll go ahead and read this statement that was made by the athletic department here. Over the past several weeks, President Gee and I have discussed the future of West Virginia athletics and our football program with a number of individuals and talented athletic administrators from across the country. We were also impressed with the effort of our team the last few weeks. Additionally, we have also had discussions with Coach Brown and our new director of athletics, Ren Baker, about our next steps as a department. In fact, Ren and Coach Brown have already connected relating to the future of the program. And as a result of these efforts and discussion, it's clear that Coach Brown should continue to lead our football program, said Alsop. By the way, this is from Mike Oste, his website, westvirginiasportsnow.com. I'll just grab it off of there real quick. He continued, with new energy that comes with new leadership, it is time to rally around Ren's leadership as we continue to move quickly to recruit more top student athletes to our program and continue to develop the incredibly talented group of returning players who are an integral part of the Mountaineer family. I know that Ren will be focusing a lot of this time and attention and how we improve our results on the football field and across a number of our programs. I will continue to work with Ren, Neal, and the rest of our athletics program to ensure a smooth transition to the next era for our athletic department. Let's go. So, what do you guys think about this statement? Hey, what's up, Kenny? You said you disagree so much. You're going to be glad to lose money for our program, he said. This sucks. He said he disagrees. 304 Barbecue says we should have hired Paul Christ. I know, guys. It's rough, man, and especially when It seems like they're trying to do damage control 12 hours out. Not even 12 hours out. The early enrollee, period is tomorrow, and now all of a sudden we have the statement going out the day before. Like, this has all been handled so bad, so poorly. It could have been handled so much better. Um, I was even on board the last couple of days with Neal Brown possibly coming back, only because, for reasons like I just heard earlier, how we have some recruits that had some trepidation about possibly about coming back, um, or entering the program, because they didn't know who the leader was going to be. Well, you understand that. Why would you want to go to a school where there's not only they can't even say they didn't like the coach, they weren't even sure who was going to be the coach, So this is so late to do all this, and I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if it's not too late. We've already heard about, Rodney Gallagher going to Penn State. We've got other recruits that have had wandering eyes. Justin Benton has gone to Arkansas and other places. Those are two of the four best recruits we have. Rodney being probably the best, Justin being one of the three or four best, and those guys have already looked other places. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't get some flippage starting tomorrow. 304 Barbecue says, last 4 years have shown Neal isn't the answer. Why prolong it? WVU will take yet another step backwards. What's up, Misplaced Hillbilly? Anyone else thinking gives a real problem? Hey, man, I just said the same thing earlier. He's obviously had his successes in life, but whether it being a president here or at Ohio State, where he won a national championship. Man, he's 80 years old. Like, at a certain point, you've got to start to lose it a little bit. And also, it's just a different era now. Not only did we need, I think Baker is not, I don't think Baker is a bad hire. But I think, when you get younger, it's just like anything. When you get younger at a spot, it brings energy, it brings passion, it brings drive. He said it in his statement. Same thing with the president. What's up, Matt Swanson? When you have time, look up Guy's Wikipedia page. You'll find some eye-opening things. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I've seen a lot of that. He's had his share of controversy, which is why, people were saying he had issues with hiring Hugh Freeze. And listen, I've been told everything from Hugh Freeze is a pedophile to no, he just slept with some hookers and everything in between. I don't know the real story. I haven't looked into it, but people were saying that Guy he had trepidation about hiring Hugh Freeze because of his past. And then if you look on his Wikipedia page, like Matt Swanson is saying here, you'll see like the dude's had his share of issues and probably shouldn't be judging anybody. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I got to grab this phone over here real quick. I'm waiting on a couple people here. Hopefully jump on the chat. Oh, okay. Yeah, guys, let me know what you think down here. Misplaced Hillbilly said, I know Guy had problems at Ohio State. Wasn't happy when he came to West Virginia to begin with. Trying to get somebody else on here to go with to be live here with me. Yeah, but leave a comment, guys. How do you feel about West Virginia University? Not only have they come out and said Neal Brown is going to come back in a statement, How do you guys feel about it happening literally the day before the early signing period? How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like we're backing into this? Do you feel like the administration knows that possibly a new hire needed to be made, Neal Brown needed to be fired, but they backed into this because of the time and they handcuffed themselves? I want to know how everybody feels about that. What's up, James Hurley? He says President Gee is not the problem. I mean, I'll say this: whether or not he's the problem, you can probably debate, but he certainly hasn't handled this situation well, James. I mean, you can't say that he's handled this situation well at all. The timing of the firing of Shane Lyons was bad. The timing. It should have happened a few weeks before it did. The timing of this announcement that has been made tonight is really bad. The early signing period starts tomorrow. I've been hearing rumors start going back a couple hours telling me we have several recruits that are on the fence now, don't know what to do. They weren't sure who the coach was going to be. All they know is an athletic director was in place. And so now the statement goes out at almost 6 o'clock. It's almost dark outside. Um, who knows what's going to come of this? I don't know. One of the best signing classes in school history could be wasted when all they had to do was, at the end of the day, all they had to do was just announce that Neal Brown was going to be coming back for the next season after the Oklahoma State game. And a lot of this probably is avoided. So Misplaced Hillbilly said, I also feel like if we don't hire Gary Patterson type or defensive coordinator type, they're not serious about the football program. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with Gary Patterson, but there's other people I'd rather see there first. His gold blue dude's head exploded. I'm not sure, man. I honestly, uh, I talk to Joey Foster more than I do Golden Blue Dude, but I'm sure he'll be releasing a video on it. If he hasn't already, he will be shortly. I'm sure. What's up, Randall Lowe? Another losing season. Listen, man, I'm one of those fans that at the beginning of every season, no matter how bad things are, I always have hope in my heart that we're going to be good. That's just how I am. I don't like to be negative all the time. I mean, we already are enough as a fan base, I feel like. So, um, you know, coming in the next year, is the deck going to be stacked against Neal Brown? Absolutely. Um, are we going to lose some players? Probably so. But I will say this. Another thing I've been told is if Neal Brown comes back, from what I understand now, I don't have this in writing. I don't know this to be sure, but it was supposed to have been communicated to him, hey, yeah, we'll bring you back, but that deal's got to change. That buyout's got to change. And don't be surprised if in the next few days or weeks a new Neal Brown deal is not being announced. They probably gave him the ultimatum of, hey, you either get fired or you come back, we change some assistants around, and you've got a new deal. Um, we'll see what happens with that, though. I heard some people discussing that on some message boards, and actually somebody in the know stopped in and said, yes, that is probably something that could happen. What's up, Corey Morgan? He said, I don't think this downfall actually started with the hire. He does think this started with the hiring of Dana. We went away from our roots and started getting air raid happy. Yeah, I think you're probably right, to an extent. I understand the logic of doing that because you're going into a Big 12 conference where everybody does that. But we've seen in the Big 12 conference teams doing it another way and have success. Kansas State, well, up until the last few games, with Will Howard, hasn't had what you would consider an air raid offense. Iowa State certainly doesn't have an air raid offense, although they do have air raid concepts. Um, and even Kansas has a little bit different of an offense with that option attack they have, and uh, it's just hard. You see what an air raid offense can be when you can recruit the athletes to play in it, like at Tennessee. I think they had several 4-star players in that offense. It can be really explosive, but if you're playing with just kind of players in an air raid offense, I mean, it'll score points, but when you go up against really good teams, usually they have answers for it. Neal Brown's going to be releasing a video. I saw that. Randall Lowe said they must change the defensive side for sure if Neal Brown stays. Yeah, I mean, but how do you guys feel about so Jordan Leslie has a few really successful years as defensive coordinator, and are we done with Jordan Leslie because of one? Does everybody think this was Vic Koning's defense that he was trying to use and just got away with it for a couple of years? Do you think he was playing with the players from the former regime? I'm trying to figure out what people mean by that. Anthony Hill, hey, what's up, man? He said, I hope it does turn around. I'm behind West Virginia University no matter what, no matter the coach, but we definitely need a new offensive line coach and defensive coordinator. Anthony Hill, I got a question for you, man. Would you agree that Matt Moore improved the offensive line from 2021 to 2022? Just want to know your opinion on that. I think they did. And we have a chance to return a lot of those same guys if they don't leave. Do you think it's possible that they improve another step from this year to next year? I think Matt Moore was under fire until this year. I think he saved a little bit of face this year with the offensive line. I mean, it was one of our 3 best position groups anyway, which ain't saying a whole lot. But, I mean, I feel like the offensive line improved this year. Is it perfect? No. I mean, we ran the ball really well in a lot of games this year. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad, obviously, if we hired a new O-line coach. But at the end of the day, it's all about your players too, how you develop them. Like, are they right for the system? That kind of stuff. Jeff Castile or Tony Gibson, Penn State. Yeah, the Penn State game right off the bat, is that a loss? Could be. Yeah, that'll be a great barometer game for Neal Brown to see if he's turned this thing around or not. We'll know real soon next year. If we played Penn State tougher, we beat Penn State, might be a good indicator of how good a team we have next year. Yeah, I've heard people say that, Jay Glizzy. He's saying that Neal Brown was excuse me, being held back by Shane Lyons the entire time, um, and that he wasn't given the money to go out and get the right transfer people. Neal, and even Shane Lyons said it in the interview the other day. He wasn't willing to deal with the Country Roads Trust. He believes the Country Roads Trust is an arm of the athletic department, but the athletic department and the Country Roads Trust don't coincide. They don't communicate. Because how is the trust supposed to know who to go after? These coaches are evaluating players, but if the Country Roads Trust don't know who they are, how in the hell are they going to know who to give the money to? And if Shane Lyons says, no, we can't talk to you, it's odd. I agree. So hopefully a new athletic director is more willing to engage with the Country Roads Trust. Because like I told you guys in my video the other day, I saw, Illinois, Syracuse, Maryland, teams like that are similar size to West Virginia that are engaged with their trusts and do work with them. I'm not saying that the coaches have to help fundraise. But man, at least tell them who you're looking at, what the players you're looking at. Um, Maybe give them a ballpark number of what kind of money you're going to need. Get a Power Five defensive staff. What's up, Sorgy Stories? He said there's really disappointed and missed opportunity. We're missing out on so many coaches. It's looking like we'll have to deal with this another year of bad football. I know it seems like that, but like I was saying earlier, I'm always going to be optimistic for the next year. Me and Coos, you guys probably know by now, me and Coos are pretty close. We talk every day about Mountaineer football. We bounce ideas off each other. We support each other, man. He's a good friend. But we find ourselves talking ourselves into the funniest things. Like the other day, we were looking at the roster, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I could talk myself into another year, Neal Brown. With this, and this happens. Um, I'm always flirting with that just because I love the Mountaineers so much. And man, it just sucks to be negative. I'm not saying be blind to the truth, but man, I like to look at this roster we have and think, what if, and would be nice to go on a big 2007 type run again, be right in the mix like we used to be every year. I think we all took that for granted, man. At least I know I did. I took those years for granted. I'm 37 years old, so those years were the years, when I was really growing up. I was coming into my own as an adult, and I was really becoming a huge Mountaineer fan at that point in time as an adult, and thought it was going to be like that forever. And man, I'll tell you what, if I could go back and just bottle that up in a bottle and just keep it forever, I would, because that was the best feeling in the world. Miss it. Randall Lowe says he's been a West Virginia fan over 40 years, and I hope they get back to winning and get back in the top 25. Agreed. Uh-oh. We're being spammed here by a girl's 18 site. Somebody remove that or report it if you can. He said yes, the O line proved a little. Yeah, it did a little bit, Anthony Hill. Question: why the AD from North Texas? They have a good basketball program, but football's been inconsistent. Well, actually, I think they're playing in the championship game this week in football. Let me make sure. I thought they were, but yeah, I think they were looking at. Listen, man, I know football is the most important, but when you're looking at an athletic director, you have to look at the totality of their work. And man, he has been a fundraising guru. Apparently, he's got 12 of the 20 biggest donations in history at North Texas, in the school's history. He did the same thing at Missouri State. He also flipped as a Division III college basketball coach, where he went 20-11 as a coach for 1 year, which I thought was wild. Had no idea that he did that. Um, and then he was also at another school that was really Rogers State, in which apparently he got some really nice donation money there too. So I think a lot of it was, and the thing is other Power Five places tried to hire him away from North Texas. He was making over $800,000 per year there, and that's in the top 50 ish, something like that. He was making Power Five money as an AD at North Texas. So he was always going to eventually be a Power Five athletic director. He just happened to land here at West Virginia University, in kind of a bad situation. But yeah, he apparently all his coaching hires combined. This isn't counting, just football, but 70% winning percentage. So he's been good overall. Randall Lowe wondering about the fullback. Yeah, I know, man. It's not used anymore, is it? Oh, that's awesome, Sorgi. Sorgi. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Yeah, fundraiser. Um, Also, guys, if you're watching this, and you want to donate in any type of way, I don't have. I've only got. I'm heading towards 600 subscribers on my channel, and we're heading towards right around 800 on the West Virginia channel. I'm on both of those channels right now. So if you haven't subscribed to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, please jump over there and do that. If you haven't subscribed to the West Virginia channel, on the Voice of College Football West Virginia channel, please do that as well. That is Mark Rogers. He's a great dude. He lets us come on there and advertise our stuff. We also do videos for him on there, and we're all really thankful for him, man. He's been really good to a lot of us. But if you want to donate in any sort of way, my cash tag is ROCK85. So if you ever want to donate to that, you know, a couple more subscribers, and I'll be able to uh, monetize my channel. Right now, I'm. So what I did, I don't. I don't talk about this on my channel very much, but I worked as a counselor before, and I quit my job and paid my rent for an entire year, and I paid my bills for almost that long. And I jumped into this YouTube thing head first like 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I gained over 500 subscribers in my first 31 days. Um, and it's been a wild ride. But what I realized was I didn't account for going broke in the process. It's okay to count on yourself and believe in yourself. And I do believe in myself, and I do believe this is my calling. But financially, it's hurt me. So I've been told by other people it's okay to ask for donations sometimes whenever you're doing these kind of things and providing a service for people. But man, it really goes against your ego to do it. I'll tell you that. It's hard. So moving on though. Yeah, Mark is a great dude, man. He really is. He's been good to me. Um, as a matter of fact, supposed to go on his show. Um, I was supposed to go on Monday actually, and we both forgot all about it. Good point, Anthony Hill. So let me know, guys. Hey, Joey, you want to come on here or what here, man? I was trying to text you there, and you didn't respond. Get old Joey Foster up in here. Yeah, Joey's a good dude, man. He's helped me a lot. When I first got into this, he gave me a lot of really good advice, um, and helped me kind of refine my style a little bit. I was leading off, man. I'm just one of those people. I know people, and also I'm not afraid to ask. So he said he can't right now. Oh, okay. You can't. Come on, Joey. Um, but I was getting some pretty big interviews, and I had absolutely no subscribers to watch these interviews with. So I looked like an idiot. But at least they're on there. I mean, some of they're all. You have the Sticking 365 guys and C.J. Donaldson, his high school head coach. Got an interview with him. Other people that would probably do a lot better views wise if I was getting them now. But it is what it is. We're on here talking about Neal Brown, and it's been announced. They have come on and announced he is going to be back in 2023. How do you guys feel about that? Anybody pissed off? Anybody happy? I know there's some Neal Brown guys out here. I know there is. I'm in the middle on it. I really am. I'm if it was up to me, I think he would have been. I would have fired him before the Oklahoma State game. As soon as we weren't able to go bowl eligible, I think that's when you make the change. But he's going to have his one last year to make everybody to prove everybody wrong, which is guys like Joey and some other people I talked to want. So, Randall, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, yeah. What I was saying earlier, though, I jumped into this thing and didn't really have a backup plan, but I make it. It's not like I starved to death or anything like that. And once I get to 1,000 subs, I'll be start making money. Oh, Anthony Hill. It's Cash App. It's a cash tag ROCK. Let me make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Um, it is real quick. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, yeah. It's ROCKEL 85. So I apologize. My last name is ROCKEL, not zero, but actually the letter O. And then the number 85. All right, Joey, I'll send you the link. Joey, check your Twitter account here, man. Sorry, guys. It's hard to multitask and do both these things at once. All right. Here we go. All right. And we're back. I sent that to your YouTube account, Joey. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, man. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. So my subscriber count is way higher than my viewing hours are. Like my viewing hours are like around, I think right around 1,000, 2,000 maybe. Um, but my view count, I'm on pace to hit 1,000 subs way before then. Here's Joey Foster, guys.
What are you saying down there, Paul?
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everyone. So I was saying in the chat, I'm happy Neal Brown's coming back for one more year, just simply because I want to see what he can do without the interference of Shane Lyons within the athletic department. I mean, because if we would all stop and think, the last 4 years, our basketball programs had 2 really bad years. Our football programs had 2 really, really bad years, other than 4 years. And in 2021, every athletic department was down. We finished at the bottom of the Big 12, bottom of anything we played sports in, except for rifling. And so that told me there was a bigger problem than our coaches. There was a big problem across the athletic department. So I'm really excited that Neal Brown is going to get another chance. Now, if the results aren't different next year, if we play 6 games and we've lost 3 of them, he might as well can him. But if he can, we play 6 games and he's 5-1. Hey, we've turned it around. So I just think that might be a good opportunity for him to prove himself as a head coach without the distractions of Shane Lyons, because I really believe Shane was a huge distraction.
And you could be right on that. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie, Joe. You said that for probably a good 3 weeks leading up to the end of the season, if not longer. You told me that over and over about Shane Lyons. I
Right.
still think Neal Brown has a lot to clean up. Decisions he
I
was
agree.
making on the field don't necessarily have anything to do with Shane Lyons. But I will say this. After the interview, I'll admit you were right about a few things. Number one, the environment, as far as his ability in the NIL space, I think was hindered in a lot of ways, which is why, one of the big criticisms we all gave the coaching staff is why the hell are you going to the group of 5 and FCS level to go to get players, tell us how good they are, and then they end up being shit. And so maybe they didn't have a choice. NIL,
Exactly.
be
They
interesting to
just
see
didn't.
how
I
that all
mean,
turns out.
yeah, it takes it takes an athletic director to be able to bring people in to raise that money. You can do it without Title IX implications. There are so many ways you can do it. And the athletic director has a lot of say in all that stuff. And he can do things outside of Title IX. And Shane Lyons refused to do it. As he said in the interview. He plainly told you in the interview he wasn't going to do that. And I really hate that. I tell you, the interview, in my opinion, what Hoppy Kercheval did, bringing him in and interviewing him, was no different than what Brad Smith does with Voice of Motown, and when he goes and throws people under the bus. I just thought that it was a dirty, low down, backstabbing way to do something. I didn't think. I think Shane Lyons showed himself as less of a man and took friendship for granted, and you could see that in the interview. Okay, there's a difference between business and friendship, and maybe they're all our friends up there, but it's a business first. And so and
Yeah.
he thought his friendship would hold him into it, obviously, and that just can't happen.
So are you mad at Hoppy for doing that? Or Shane for saying what he said?
No, I'm mad at Shane for saying what he said, for one thing, but I'm upset that Hoppy would do that and not turn around and have an interview scheduled with Gordon Gee to give his side. Okay, he's got one side out there. Where's the other side? I want the other side of the story. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We need Gordon Gee out there or somebody else to give their side of the story, and for him to allow for Hoppy to go on and allow this interview to continue, and do this interview without having the opposing side come in and give their opinion was wrong. It's no different.
Well,
Look, we all give Brad Smith hell about that, do we not? We all give Brad Smith hell about that. You threw the coach under the bus. You did this. You got this player in, and you interviewed this player who left and was disgruntled, and now he's thrown our whole team under the bus. We all get mad at him for doing that. Hoppy Kercheval did the exact same thing, and nobody's got any backlash on it. I don't understand that. Look,
I mean,
I've always liked
part
Hoppy
of it has
Kercheval.
to do with
I've always liked Hoppy Kercheval.
right, right. I know I didn't know anybody was mad about it, to be honest with you.
There's not.
But
Nobody is. That's just it.
I,
Nobody's mad about the interview, and
I think
that's what's got me kind of bumbuzzled is why can we sit and say when Brad does that same type of interview with a former player or someone who's left the university and is not happy, when Brad does that same thing and puts it in print, everybody gets mad. But now
Right.
Hoppy can go and do it and put it on video, and everything's fine. It's the same thing to me, and I don't, I'm no respecter of persons, so I'm not going to look at Brad any different than Hoppy, any different than you, or any different than Golden Blue do, for instance. Everybody's the same, and if you're going to do a bad interview that's going to throw the university under the bus, that's one thing. But if you don't have an opposing view to give their side of the story, then shame on you. That's how I feel.
Right. I get what you're saying. Um, I think probably something has to do with it. Just a guess, but probably because Shane Lyons is West Virginia guy, West Virginia boy. Maybe
Right.
why he got the chance to speak his side, and Gordon Gee is not necessarily a West Virginia guy. Um, just a guess. I would assume that Hoppy and them guys are probably closer to Shane Lyons than they are Gordon Gee as well. So maybe
Well,
that's why he was given precedent.
I'm
What's up,
okay
picking
with
stuff?
giving Shane Lyons a platform. I'm think that's fine to give Shane Lyons that platform. Let him spill his guts, let him spill his beans, whatever he wants to do. I just think that it would have been nice for Hoppy to reach out and say, "Hey, now I need an opposing side. Let's bring somebody else in and give their interview." And he may still do that. I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying
Right.
it probably would have been best to have that set up so that at the end of Shane Lyons' interview, he could announce, "Hey, tune in tomorrow or tune in Monday or whenever, and we'll have Gordon Gee on." You know,
Fire Baker.
and I know that.
He ain't even started a job yet. No, it's David
What's going
Frank's
on?
talking about Fire Baker.
Oh, I see that. Sorry, I wasn't watching
Um,
chat.
ain't even started the job yet, David Frank. HR
He's going
picking
to be a
stuff
good athletic
says,
director. The man's been very successful everywhere he's been. He's very good at raising money,
right,
and he's very good at hiring coaches. He's had his hands in hiring like 16 head coaches that are all
right.
successful. So he's very good at what he does.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he hired Justin Fuente. He had a lot to do with that at Memphis, which is a good hire for them. Not so much Virginia Tech. Um, he also, I don't know if he was at Missouri when Drinkowitz got hired, which is the guy that's there now. But he's been at North Texas since 2016, hasn't he? So no, he wouldn't have been there. Um, but he would have hired Graham Harrell. He would have been there for that.
Yeah.
Um, so interesting. That was the first thing I thought whenever I saw he was going to be hired was, oh crap, is he gonna promote Graham Harrell? Is that what we're gonna get? Or Seth Luttrell? Was we're gonna get Seth Luttrell? I think a lot of people thought that.
Well, the thing about it
Picking
is,
stuff
he
said,
like I say, he's had his hand in the football programs a lot. Everywhere he's been, his hands have been in the football programs, and the football programs have been successful at hiring coaches, winning coaches.
right.
So I think that our programs are going to be on the up on the rise now. I think now you're wondering, is it going to happen? Maybe not, but I think over time, yes.
What do you think? Picking stuff here. He said, is Brown going to recruit JUCO and FCS players? I think he probably will get one or two JUCO guys. Sometimes though,
Does everybody
JUCO's a good
forget
route to
that?
go every now and again.
Yeah. Does everybody forget that Dana Holgerson recruited the White brothers from JUCO?
I mean, yeah. Listen, you can have success there. It just can't be your only mode. It
Right.
can't be the only thing you do. Like last year, we got what, two FCS, two Group of Five players. To
Yeah.
replace four Power Five starters. That can't happen.
No, it can't.
It's okay to plug. It's okay to plug a hole every now and then, because out of all those guys, who was the one that worked out? Jasir Cox, right? So, that's about. I'd say that's probably about the ratio. One out of every three or four is probably going to end up working out.
Yeah, there are some good players in the group of five, and in the FCS, and in the JUCO. I mean, there's some great players there. A lot of times in JUCO, it's just they needed to get their grades up. They needed to work on them to be ready for Power Five. It really didn't have anything to do with their talent. There's some great talent, especially at Mississippi State Community College there.
The Yates says he wants Tony Gibson back on D. He's tearing it up in NC State.
Yeah, he's doing a good job there. He's a great coordinator, that's for sure. I think that he had. I think he could have had better success at West Virginia had there been a different head coach. I think under Neal Brown, Tony Gibson could have been really successful as a defensive coordinator. Under Holgerson, I don't think he was given the practice time. I don't think he was given the recruiting time. I don't think he was given the platform to recruit like he should have been.
Right. What's up, Bo Stacker? How we doing, man? Welcome to the chat. We're just talking a little bit about the statement that was released. If you rewind it back, I read that off to begin. We've talked a little bit about everything. Joey, let's talk about and switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about a subject that you and I had discussed, and then I reached out to one of my sources in the media and got a response, and he told me that. Um, so we heard today that tomorrow the early signing period maybe have been affected as a result of some of this stuff, right? And so
Right.
I reached out and asked about that. And apparently that's what this statement was it was a countermeasure to the possibility that some players were entertaining other schools or what have you. Um, my question to you is, do you think it's too late? Do you think this is too late to release a statement about Neal Brown being the head coach and in hopes of keeping some of those players that may have had wandering eyes?
Well, um, when I found out about it, the statement had already been released. So has it done any damage control? That's something that I don't know. So but yeah, think that I think the players that have made up their mind to not enroll early are not going to change it back this
Right.
soon. I just don't think they will. So and from what I understand, there's several of them that have decided I'm not enrolling early. We're going to hold off and see where the direction of this program is going to go. And and maybe, who knows, in a few days they may change their mind and come on. But as of right now, it's going to be announced tomorrow that there's going to be several of them holding back. So now, who? I don't know. I didn't ask questions, which is what I do when I find out something. I don't ask too many questions, because that generally means that I'll get more information.
Right.
The next time. So maybe I don't get the full scoop, but it's just like when I found out Shane Lyons was going to be fired a week before it happened. I didn't ask questions. They told me it's not Neal Brown on the hot seat, it's Shane Lyons on the hot seat. Okay, good. That's all I needed to know. And then I got to looking and realized, hey, Shane Lyons is the problem here, and started making that case, because I just feel like if I keep questioning sources and people that talk to me, maybe they'll quit talking to me. So I just don't push the issue. So could I have found out who possibly is holding back? Yeah, maybe, but I wasn't going to go that route. So it might be just one player. It might be five. I don't know. So
Yeah.
now
And if
Gallagher's
you're
already
anything,
announced that he was going to make some visits. So
right. But I was told by the media member I talked to, specifically with Gallagher, that those visits were just in case Neal Brown wasn't going to be brought back, And he said that now that
Right.
Neal Brown it's been said, okay, Neal Brown is going to be the coach, that there should be no reason for him to take those visits now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. If he enrolls tomorrow, we know everything's good. If he goes on some
Yeah.
visits, then
The thing about
we'll see.
Gallagher is, and here's the interesting thing. It was kind of a telltale sign to me when he said he was going to make an official visit to Pitt, that he wasn't really seriously backing out of West Virginia, because he has no interest in going to Pitt. None. If his only two interests were West Virginia and Notre Dame. So if he was going to back out of if he was serious about backing out of it, he'd be at Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I felt like, okay, maybe it's not too serious that he's going to visit Pitt. He's not real serious about this. He's just trying to feel the program out and see what's going on. So with this statement today, he may go ahead and enroll early. You may be right on that.
Right. Well, he's the biggest piece. We need him. You know,
Oh yeah, we do.
you know, I mean, if it was up to me, the main ones we need to enroll are we gotta have we gotta have Rodney Gallagher, we gotta have Justin Benton, we gotta have James Hurd Jr., we gotta have Josiah Trotter Jr. Or Josiah Trotter. Um, those are the four that I am most hopeful that we keep. Not that everybody else after that's chopped liver, but those are all our high end 4-star guys. And I really want those guys to stay around. You got to have blue chippers, man, if you're going to win any kind of championship these days. You know, they've done plenty of studies on it. Um, Last year, everybody that was in the college football playoff was ranked 12th or better for 4 years in a row in recruiting. And so, in order for us to compete in the Big 12, we've got to have top 25 recruiting classes, you know, or get really, really funky with our scheme like Rich Rod did and just out scheme people for a while. But that's the only two ways we're going to win.
I agree with you. Now, let me ask you a question. How surprised were you by the athletic director hire? By who it was?
I had seen his name earlier in the week. So I was familiar with who he was, that face, that chubby face. But I didn't really pay attention at that time exactly where he was from. He was on a couple lists that I had seen, but I had given
Right.
no credence to him. Um, I would say I was probably a 10 being just absolutely blown away. I'd say I was probably about a 5 out of 10 shocked. I mean, I was surprised. I was not expecting
So,
him to be the guy.
so I was told, and I know you know this a while back. I was told that West Virginia was focusing on the Oregon athletic director and the LSU athletic director. That was the two they were focusing on. Apparently, they couldn't get one of them, either one of them. This would be my guess. I mean,
Kelly Zinner,
so
Matt
I,
Borman.
so I, right. So I
Yeah.
guess that's why they went with me. Now, when I found out yesterday that the athletic director was going to be announced today, once again, I didn't ask questions. I could have asked, well, who is it? But I didn't. And probably I wish I would have now. I wish I would have asked. But I just figured, okay, let's let this be a great surprise, because I really figured that it was going to be one of them two guys. So, but I'm happy with the hire. I mean, he's a successful athletic director, so I'm happy with the hire.
Right. I don't think you'll hesitate to fire Neal Brown in a heartbeat if he's not performing. That's something we don't have to worry about, right? If we go into another year of bad football, um, or not up to par, I don't think he'll hesitate, and he'll go out and get his guy. The problem
Right.
is, man, I don't know how often you see the type of coaches that were in this cycle come up. There are good coaches that come open every year, but you know, I'm not saying we're
Yeah, this
Wisconsin,
year
and
was
then
good.
not in any way, shape, or form. But there's no reason we shouldn't be able to hire away a guy like Luke Fickle if Wisconsin can. Things like that
Well,
really bother me, man.
you got to remember, Luke Fickle had a chance at West Virginia. He could have been there when Neal Brown was hired, and he sort of turned it down because of the school system for his kids. So going
Right.
back to him was just obsolete. There was no reason to ever think about what he's going to get Luke Fickle. Hugh Freeze, on the other hand, yes, Matt Rule possibility, but we're not going to compete with Nebraska. If Nebraska
Right.
wanted Matt Rule, we're not going to compete with that. So there's those things too. So I look at it as okay. Yeah, we let some great coaches get away this year. This is probably the best year to get a good coach because there were so many available. But I guarantee you, next year there'll be just as many good coaches that will be available. So I don't
Agreed.
worry about that.
I agree. Talking to Jordan, Country Roads Webcast.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to read Chad here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The chat's. Gosh, it's already went.
I'm trying to figure out what they're talking about because Kenny's saying it was a smoke screen to show that they are in charge. Georgie says
Right.
about to send me an email. Go ahead, Georgie. I haven't checked my email today. I probably got about 300 to go through. So I've been gone all day.
USC went from 4-8 to 11-1 in one season by replacing 30 players and bringing in DM with starters. I mean, I agree with you picking stuff, but I just don't know if we can do that. I think we can bring in some good players. I just don't know if we can afford. I mean, USC's never going to have a problem with NIL. That's never going to be an issue for them ever, ever, as long as NIL is in play. Um, there was a point in time this past year when people said then the new Big 12, West Virginia was number one in NIL. That's not counting Oklahoma and Texas. Um, but what we're hearing now is Shane Lyons blocked a lot of that, and so we're hoping this new guy, who is also really good at fundraising, can hopefully, because we're going to have to buy some players. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I don't think that's a
Yeah.
surprise to anybody. We're going to have to buy some players. That's what it is. People have to get on board with that, man. And we
But
appreciate you for that,
everybody's got to
Anthony Hill.
remember we brought in JT Daniels. That wasn't free. I promise you.
No, he made
It
he
cost
made a
some money
lot
to
of
bring
money.
JT here.
I
And,
saw the
and,
number.
right. So we can get them. We've got money in NIL. But now you got to remember something else about USC picking up 20 V1
What's
players.
up, Coos?
You got to remember they're USC number one. They're a blue blood. Number two, they've got huge NIL. Number three, they got one of the best coaches in the country that they brought in. And so there was a lot of excitement around the program at that time. When you're bringing in Oklahoma, when you're stealing a coach from Oklahoma, and them Oklahoma players went to play for him, it's not hard for him to say, hey, if you want to come and play, come on. And for them to hit the
No.
portal and be picked right back up by him. So that was a lot easier. It's not like that at West Virginia. It's not like we hired a coach from a blue blood program to come to our program, and he's able to recruit players from that blue blood program to us. So Neal Brown, this one thing I agree with Shane Lyons about when he was talking in that interview. This is year two for Neal Brown. Bottom line, it is. He came from a group of five school, came into us. He didn't have any recruiting experience at the Power Five level at West Virginia or in this area. Now, not in Texas, he did when he was at Texas A&M, of course, and maybe he did a little bit of Kentucky, but nothing like he would have to recruit at West Virginia. And then on top of that, so he came from Group of Five, and he had no chance to recruit in 2019. He just had to take hold of some players. 2020 was COVID, and he had to hit recruiting trail by Zoom. So that was tough. So he couldn't get a good class. So 2021 and 22, that's year one and year two. So I think 2019 and 20 were year zeros. So I think this was like second year. And, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. But, I think next year is going to be the tell of the tape. And I think you'll see it in the Vegas odds too. I think when the Vegas odds come out next year, we're going to be probably 7.5. That's where I think they'll put us, about 7.5 wins. So
Really?
I think you'll see the difference in the Vegas odds next year.
That would be a little surprising, but honestly, I wouldn't expect that many wins, but I would welcome it, no doubt about that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just feel like that it's I feel like that he's a great coach, and I know he's got a good culture up there. I'm telling you, those players played hard in that Oklahoma State game, and they didn't have to, right? They just didn't. They didn't have to show up.
Right.
They could have sleptwalked through that game and lost it, and nobody thought any worse of them. Nobody paid any attention to that. But they fought. They fought hard. And everybody says, well,
I don't disagree with that.
they was without their starting quarterback. Well, guess what? We were on our third string quarterback. We were on our fourth string running back. And we still beat them. So at their house. So them guys played hard. Nobody threw in the towel. That tells me, just like Shane Lyon said, he didn't lose that team. Neal Brown hasn't lost that team. So
I mean, it's funny you say the year zero thing, and Shane Lyon said that same thing, man, and I just don't subscribe to it. I understand, I respect the opinion, but when everybody's dealing with the same thing, I don't feel like that's as relevant. Now, I will say Neal Brown had a worse starting point than a lot of other teams did as far as the roster he inherited. He had probably, I think I saw a couple rankings. He probably got the fifth worst talent handoff in West Virginia history. There have been worse than what Neal Brown got, but Dana Holgorsen left the program in a really bad spot. The numbers were way down almost into the 60s on the scholarships. So I mean, it was bad, and he had a long way to go and a lot of things to build. And he had to play young, and they invested in the offensive line. Was really young. But certainly
and then go back and look at that 2019 class too. The class that Dana Holgorsen was recruiting, I think he knew he was leaving. I think he knew I'm done here, that he was going to be out of a job, because he didn't recruit the most talented players that he could have gotten in 2019. And Neal Brown, he came in late. He had to just take those players to fill his roster. So he didn't get to recruit in 2019. And realize that through the year in 2019, yeah, he got to get out and do some recruiting, but he didn't get to meet all the players that he wanted to recruit in 2020. And then he had to do it by Zoom. So that's why I say, you can say, well, everybody was in that same boat. Yes, they were. But Neal Brown came from a group of 5 school to a Power 5 school, come from recruiting a group of 5 players that he knew them all. He could recruit a group of 5, but now he had to recruit a different type of player to be a Power 5 player, and he didn't know any of them, and none of them knew him. He might have known of them, but they didn't know him. And now all of a sudden, they got to get to know him by Zoom. So he was not in the same situation a lot of other coaches were in. And that's why I say that it's a little bit different. Not completely different. I mean, but different, and a little bit harder for him. And I know there's a lot of people that don't agree with that. And I know Coos down here in the chat right now is one of them that doesn't agree with me on this. And I understand that. I respect Coos for how he feels. And I respect you for how you feel. It's just how I feel. And that's just my thoughts. And would I be okay if they fired Neal Brown right now? I absolutely would be okay if they fired Neal Brown right now. Wouldn't bother me a bit. But am I okay with him keeping him for another year? I absolutely am.
Well, can't nobody say he didn't get a chance.
That's right.
He
That's right. They
didn't, he
won't
didn't
be able
lose the
to say
team. He
that.
just lost a bunch of games. What's up, Justin
I just
Campbell?
remember
Said,
I just
my
remember
question is if
back in the
Neil Brown,
70s, guys, and you guys weren't around in the 70s. I just remember how
but
we
it's
done
not the
Bobby
same
Bowden back in the
game,
70s. This same stuff was
right?
going on with Bobby Bowden. Oh, he can't recruit. Oh, he can't build a winning program. We need to get rid of Bobby Bowden. He don't need to be at West Virginia. We need to build a winning program, and it's not going to be under Bobby Bowden. We can't do it with Bobby Bowden. We need to fire him. And guess what? The administration listened, and Bobby Bowden listened. And he said, "Okay, I'll go to Florida State and show you what I can do."
Yeah, but
So
that's just to me. They didn't have NIL, and you can't lose your players every year. You know what I mean? That's the problem. In today's day and age, you can't retain any players, not almost anybody, not just Neil Brown. So it's Bobby Bowden didn't have to deal with that, and so I don't know if you can compare those older situations 100%.
that,
That's what
that
I get. That's what I struggle with.
and I know that
But
people are going to say, "Well, Joey, this," and I know that you are thinking this, and I know I'm sure Coos is thinking this, and everybody's probably thinking this. Well, this isn't 1970s football. No, it's not. It's not 1970s football. But football is football, and it's the same thing. It's if you're gonna get rid of a coach because you think he can't coach a team because he's trying to build a team, he's trying to build a program, then okay, then you're going to get rid of a lot of coaches because a coach that wants to build a program like Neil Brown's wanting to do. He's wanting to build us to a sustainable level of football to where we can come out and compete for 9, 10, 11 wins every year. Okay, so he's trying to build that. We could have a coach like Don Holgerson again and say, okay, every 4 or 5 years we're going to be able to win 10 games, and all the rest of the years we're going to be okay and maybe finish at 7 wins or something like that. Sure, Neil Brown could do that. I'm sure any coach could do that. Problem is, if you're going to build a program, he's filling the players out. He's going to put different players in different positions every game. He's going to move people around, and we've seen him doing this. He's moving people around, trying to figure out where to play them, and then he knows what he can build off of. Then he knows the type of player to go and look for. And I just think that he's building a program. He might prove me dead wrong and come out next year and flop, win 3 games. Who knows? And he might prove me right and come out next year and win 8 or 9 or 10 games. And the people that
that's what
think
it's
he
going to
can't
take.
do that, people that think he can't do that are wrong because that's exactly what he can do. That's exactly what he can do because there's too many like coaches this year. Look at last year with Kansas, Lance Leipold with Kansas. They didn't do very good, did they? Year two, he did. And the same way with Sark at Texas. Year one was horrible under Sark. This year, not too bad. Not the greatest with the talent he's got, but still not too bad. He's trying to build a program. Bill Brown's trying to build a program. The difference is they had the players at Texas already, so he can build a program a little bit faster than Neil Brown's going to be able to.
Uh, Justin said, "My question is, if Neil Brown wins next year, is it because he's job scared and let people play, or and help people coach because he's a good coach?" I know what you're trying to say. Um, it's a good question, man. Is he going to do things he wouldn't normally do because he's afraid for his job? Like he's been notoriously hard on as far as playing younger players. I had two. I just did a video about this maybe a week ago. I had a couple families messaging me, and maybe it was sour grapes, could have been, but they were saying that Neal was really hesitant to play younger players. It's something he needs to get better at, is trusting his younger players. A lot of these players are promised certain things, they didn't get it. I understand that happens in college football, but we'll see, man. If anything, he has to learn from some of his mistakes. So hopefully that's something he starts to do because I think he's got a lot of learning to do still. There's some things he still needs to clean up for sure.
So
I'm getting caught up on the chat here.
let me make a statement here. So remember Dave Aranda last year? Everybody was like, "Wow, look how good of a coach he is." Comes in and does fantastic. He came in and just coached to win and done really good. This year he decided, I got to build a program. Now he's trying to build a program, and look what's happening. Take a step back, and and it's just going to happen. You can come in and any coach can come in and win with the players they've got and be okay. But the problem is they're and look like they're setting the world on fire because they start thinking, hey, he won 8 this year. Better watch out next year because this guy's going to go to the moon and win 10 or 11 games. And then all of a sudden they win 6 or 7. It happens all the time. So I don't think Neal Brown's going to come in next year and coach to win all of a sudden to save his job. I think Neal Brown's going to be Neal Brown and continue his steady climb and say, I'm looking for the best, and I'm going to try to put the best out there in the field that we've got. Now, Garrett Green, maybe he wasn't ready. Maybe he's showing us what he can do because Neal Brown seen something that said, okay, now he's ready, and put him out there. And then unfortunately Nico had to come in, and Nico did really good. I was really proud of Nico. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love Nico. I just hope he stays.
Oh, I think Nico will stay. I think Goose will transfer. I really don't see us keeping Goose.
I hate to hear that because I think Goose has a chance to be the best of the bunch. I really do, but I'm not
I do
saying he
too.
is. I just think he's. I just have a feeling Goose was going to be pretty good too. I'd like to see him stay too. But
Oh, I'd love to see him stay. And who knows, he may do it. I'm not saying that he's going to transfer. I'm not saying I've heard that. I'm just saying that I feel like he will. And I agree with you, Bo. I'll never have anything good to say about Dana Holgerson. This year made me so happy that after last year, when he coached to win those games last year, and he won all those games, this year he had to build a program. Look what happened to him. Fell apart. So are they going to fire Dana Holgerson now? No, but they should. Cruz hopes JT leaves. Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? You know where JT should go. On all honesty, he should go. Maybe Matt Rule is going to need a quarterback. JT should go and play with Matt Rule.
Yates, I appreciate that, man. I tell you, that's big of you. And I didn't know I had you blocked on Twitter, man. I'll unblock you. I just don't like to. I don't mind debating, but once it starts to get into nobody's going to change their side, and sometimes I'm not saying you did. Sometimes name calling happens. That's when I just go ahead and separate because it's just a waste of energy at that point. Some people love it. Some people get off on that stuff. I'm not the kind of person that likes to get personal and start, all that. So, but I'll unblock you, Yates. I didn't realize I had you blocked on Twitter. But yeah, you did give me a lot of shit about the JT video. A lot of people did. But man, all I do is, when you're not sure about a player, look at the numbers, and JT was trending in the wrong direction for weeks. And it may have been because of an injury. Unfortunately, JT was in a position this year where even if he did get injured, he couldn't say anything about it because that would label him forever as damaged goods. And so he would rather play bad, hurt, than be labeled damaged goods. I think that's what happened. I don't have any proof, but I think that's what happened. Because the JT Daniels we saw against Pitt and Kansas was not the guy we saw, and even Virginia Tech was not the guy we saw on afterwards from there. So, like Coos said, I hope he transfers. I wish him the best, but we don't need him stagnating the quarterback room because we know if he stays, Neal Brown has fondness for JT Daniels, and especially Graham Harrell has a fondness for JT Daniels after all the time they spent together at USC, and now here they brought him in. It'd be hard not to feel like you don't owe that kid a service, but you can't alienate the entire team for one player. But I don't even want the problem. I don't even want the headache.
Yeah. So Coos, why don't you come in for a little while? You come on in, Coos, and I'll go out and things. Bring
Well,
the ratings up. Bring the ratings up if I go out. So
guys, everybody that's in here right now, Coos and I are about to be going live here at 8:30. We're going to be talking to Ethan Bach, who is a writer you guys know that's in school at West Virginia University. So he covers the team. He's gone to a lot of the basketball events this year. So me and Coos will be talking to him at 8:30. So if you don't care, man, everybody that's on here right now, come over to Hoops. Oh, by the way, everybody I've got in the chat, Coos, if you're still in here, put our link for Hoops from the Hills in the chat box. Also, if you don't care, like and subscribe to the Voice of College Football if you haven't already. And also, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Please subscribe to all three of these places. Me and Coos are on, and Joey as well are all on one of these three places. Also, Golden Blue Dude is another person. If you haven't, I'm sure everybody here is probably already on board with him. But if you ain't, hit the like and subscribe button for Golden Blue Dude as well, man. All our West Virginia content creators are really great. We all bring something different to the table. We all love the Mountaineers at the end of the day, and we all do it a little different way. But we've been at this an hour and 16 minutes, and I got something come up in an hour and a half. I'm going to take a little break in between and decompress a little bit.
all right, man. Well, sometime tonight, Golden Blue Jay will be going live as well, but it's going to be a later show tonight because he's a little busy right now. So if anybody's waiting on Golden Blue Jay to go live, if you subscribe for our text message alert system, the text message will go out 15 minutes before we go live there. But yeah, go over to Hoops from the Hills. I'm going to go over there and tonight, so I'll be there, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, me and Coos, we started Hoops from the Hills together. So
Yep.
Get over there and subscribe, fellas. There it is. Hoops from the Hills. Down at Coos just put it in the chat box. So
good deal.
Yeah, Country Roads Trust also needs support. I agree, Bo Stacker. All right, guys. This has been Mountaineer Paul. This episode is over. Mountaineer Paul is out.